It's the book of Matthew, chapter 16, starting at, well, the point is verse 24. And it reads, Then said Yahushua unto his disciples, which we know the Lord's name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahushua, who you people ignorantly call Jesus Christ. So it says, Then said Yahushua unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, all glory to Kohaloyim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKodash. Let's say double honors to the elders and to the apostles that told me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aquat that they're listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but won't subscribe to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. It's the brother Yawasop. Coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and through the power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And this lesson is pretty much through the spirit. It's inspired by a couple lessons and just something through the spirit that's been, I've been hearing how the body been going into, pushing, that spirit of discipline, which we're going to need more so now than ever before because of the times we're living in. And it's deep because I didn't even realize that the word disciple was in this scripture. I'm going to reread it in the NLT, and then I'm going to go into some words and whatnot. So this is Matthew 16 and verse 24 in the NLT, and it says, Then Yahushua said to his disciples, If any of you wants to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross, and follow me. So we're going to go into this word disciple because I learned, the word disciple and discipline both go back to the same root word. And I learned that from the elders and apostles, that I believe are the prophets, Well, how did the elder break it down? He said, if you believe we the prophets, then you a prophet. I mean, believe yourself is one too, because more than likely you a prophet as well, But the word disciples is G301. And it says
Strong's G 3101, Mathetes.
Which it says a learner, pupil, disciple. So when you go into the root word,
Strong's G 3129, Manthano.
It says to learn, be appraised, to increase one's knowledge, to be increased in knowledge, to hear, be informed, to learn by use and practice, to be in habit of, accustomed to. So let's go into the word deny.
Strong's G 533, Aparneomai.
I think it's the G720. Might be the other one. So it says of separation, of local separation of the verbs departing apart from the whole, whereof whole some part is of any separation of one thing from another, physical of distance. Says to deny someone, to deny oneself, to disregard his own interest, or to prove false to himself. So to disregard his own interest, and that's what is a major part of this ministry. You gotta pretty much learn to deny yourself. You got to learn to put your body under subjection, because you got to understand, our heritage, it was certain things that we couldn't, partake in. The scriptures talk about, being separate. The word quadash, meaning separate. Scriptures talk about that in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6, a holy people, meaning a separate people. Our laws, statutes, and commandments basically make us separate from the other nations on the planet, which the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua deems as spittle. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, point is verse 27. I'm gonna start at verse 20. I'm gonna start at verse 25, because when you go into the word temperate, it's all good. Verse 24, 1 Corinthians 9 and 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize, so run that ye may obtain. So this truth is likened unto a race, because the scriptures talk about he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. Scriptures talk about once you put your hand to the plow, if you look back, you wasn't fit for the kingdom. Scriptures talk about if you basically didn't consider, and you basically and you fall out, the Lord is gonna laugh at you. You're gonna be mocked. Through whom? Through the the Lord's workers, the Lord's men, because that's the Lord laughing at you through the men. That's why the scriptures talk about considering the cost. Verse 25, and every man that striveth for mastery and temperate in all things, now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. So I remember it was a particular elder going into like Mike Tyson and the things Mike Tyson sacrificed for, his belts. And even Mike Tyson said out of his mouth that those belts were garbage. They were worth nothing. Now imagine all the things that Mike Tyson have seen and basically obtained, and he said that pretty much he pretty much did like a Paul. It was nothing, because he was created because he had that particular type of spirit. But at the end of the day, a man is not truly fulfilled unless it's a spiritual journey. That's why you got individuals like Floyd Mayweather who retire, go back into the ring, retire again, because although he's accomplished all those different attributes, or not attributes, but what's the word? I gotta get my vocabulary up. Accolades. Call Lloyd Shot. It was on the tip of my tongue. All those different accolades in boxing, he still isn't fulfilled. So let's get that word. I think that's it. I just seen that word too, strive for mastery. And you go into this word temperate. Temperate.
Strong's G 1467. Ekratuamai. Ekratuamai.
It says power, strength, little to have power over oneself is rendered. They have not continency or lacking self-control. And what's incontinency. That's a lack of self-control. Which is mentioned in a few different scriptures. Can't think of them off the top of the head, Salakia. But pretty much in this truth, you have to have a level of self-control, especially with the times we're coming in. Because what this devil's plan is pretty much, I forgot how the brother broke it down exactly word for word, but pretty much you got to think about it. This devil is no new thing under the sun. So just like in ancient Egypt and how Joseph pretty much got the people, because it was a lack of food, got the people to pretty much bend the knee to the Pharaoh of Egypt. That's how this devil was coming in that same spirit. They about to take away everything to the point where people get desperate. It's not a coincidence that they're bringing tariffs at a time when people are the most broke. You know what I mean? It's all for a purpose and design to exhibit self-government or self-control, conduct oneself temporarily in a figure drawn from athletes who, in preparing themselves for those games, abstain from unwholesome foods, wine, and self-indulgence. A lot of boxers, they go without having sex at the time before the fight, because you gotta remember when you like hold on to your lifeblood, because semen goes back to blood within you. You know, you know, it is something that does to your strength. It's like, I've heard Jake joke about it. You know what I mean? Talking about, remember I worked at this like this what you call it? You call it like a it wasn't, it was like a convention center. And pretty much the convention center, we would set up because they would hold certain events, and it was an old school Jake there, and he was up there like, yeah, because he was having trouble moving the table. He like, I had too much trouble. He's like, yeah, I get too much, kwaba. You know what I mean? Now, I got a video on deck that I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna have to say fair use first and foremost, because of the fact, you know, I'm not profiting off of it. I'm just using something that was said in the video and lining up with scriptures. But this individual I watch, he got, I ain't gonna say he vulgar, because he got a vocabulary, But for basically for the purposes of this video, I'm not gonna play everything he say, because I don't want to offend anybody, and I want to see how many video or hits I get for it, because again, your vocabulary pretty much you got certain people that get offended by certain things, you know what I mean? But ultimately, it's the will of the Lord anyway. But again, you're supposed to strive for mastery in all things, So pretty much your temperament goes back to your self-control or your self-restraint, So I'm gonna read that again. It says, "But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, least." Well, Salakia, I was at verse 25. It says, "Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible." And like I said, when you go into how Cuss pretty much like raised Tyson to be that beast. He instilled that work ethic in Tyson, and that's why Tyson still has that to this day. But for a corruptible crown, so how much more so for us for incorruptible? You got to remember, we're gonna receive a crown if we endure this to the end, which we're gonna be rulers of over planets and the heathen and all. Your name is gonna be what's that on Troy? Your name gonna be remembered throughout the ages. Verse 26, "I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight." That's the spirit, because I was talking about, likening the truth onto a fight. "I not as one that beateth the air, but I keep my body and bring it into subjection, least that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway." So when you go into this word subjection, let's see what that say.
Strong's G 1396, Delago Gale.
Says to bring it to bondage. Above and ago, to bring is used in concerning the body, bondage, and subjection. It says show biblical use is to lead away into slavery, claim as one slave, to make a slave, and treat as a slave with severity, subject to stern and rigid discipline. Going back to that word discipline, which again is a key ingredient needed in this walk. Because, brother was going into, because again, I watched a few videos. I think one is called "Anything of Excess Turns into a Liability." And then I watched a few brothers do a video called "Self-Regulation and Emotional Control is Required of Us," especially the closer we come to the end. The same things that, like, I remember I used to fall a victim to my demon when I first was coming into the truth. And I'll never forget something that the beloved elder said, and I swear it was like the Lord was speaking through him, because I took it like straight for me. And that's when I literally like disconnected and discontinued. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I don't even deal with my children mother, because for what? The bitch is so much of a demon. I'm gonna say it just like that. She's so much of a demon that You know, scriptures talk about a foolish woman will tear down her own house, roughly paraphrased. And that's pretty much what she did. You know, constantly sending me to jail because of things I was saying, not even beating her ass. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say something that offended her. She'll know I had a warrant. Like, just straight demonic shit. You know what I'm saying? And my dumb ass, because I'm stubborn and hard headed, I keep going around and then my kid and all that shit, not realizing, you know, Lord, maybe the Lord was testing me, because again, I'm thinking, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, I don't know, something about it though. Like, and then it was like, it's so cold. I don't constantly bring it up, but I speak on it from time to time. It was like when I came to the complete sincerity and conclusion, like, okay, because she took my kids and went, pretty much to a whole nother state. So when I came to the conclusion, like, well, okay, boom, I'm gonna just, I ain't got no control over nothing. Right when I did that, it was like the Lord, that's when he gave them to me. And I was like, damn, that's deep. You got to surrender to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. You got to understand we don't control nothing. And that's why I'm trying to do, I'm used to trying to outsmart and outthink, and you know what I mean? But you can't outthink or outsmart Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, So I ain't trying to make this all drawn out, but, I noticed that the brother's been in the spirit of talking about discipline, and this, well, like if you've ever seen the movie Beowulf, when you go into that, although it's like because that female Lilith, I forgot where I heard it, but they try to say, I think it's like some Satanist type shit or something like that. They try to say that Adam had a wife before Eve, and her name was Lilith. And when you go into Beowulf, that's why pretty much when he laid with her, he had a monster for a son. Because whoever she would lay with, she would have monsters for kids. And the point of the whole story is temptation. Because when you see the end of the movie, pretty much like what made Beowulf raw is because I don't want to tell the movie, but at the same time, if Jake be watching certain shit, you know what I'm saying? Like literally, like a brother put me on to something about the appetite of the soul. I was like, damn, that's cold. So when I looked it up, it was like going to Plato, He was like, pretty much your soul, is like certain, it's 3 parts of the soul or something, roughly paraphrased. And it's like, well, I pretty much took a picture of it, but I probably won't go into it. But, like what you give yourself over to, And, we supposed to fully give ourselves over to this truth. Scriptures talk about in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 12, the conclusion of the whole matter is fear the Most High and keep his commandments. That's the whole duty of man, which is going into a whole duty of an Israelite man. So I'm going to say fair use, because again, like temptation is a motherfucker. We get tempted by, all kind of different things, Jake get tempted, because, it's what, you, and a lot of the stuff, our temptations, that can lead us astray is lawful stuff, Sex is lawful, you know what I mean? But at the same time, overindulgence in anything it can lead to a liability, like the brother said. Women are lawful, but too much women in excess can lead to a liability. And you could think of a few. You could think of a few examples of that. Look at Solomon. As great and wise Solomon was, what did he fall a victim to? Women. You got Jake that'll chase after material things in this world that we knowing that all this shit gonna be dissolved, and, forgetting to store up his spiritual treasures in heaven. Because you gonna need them spiritual treasures. Like, the Lord just took me through something, but, holding fast. It's so cold, but I ain't even got time to go into the whole breakdown of it. But, it's really like, I came across this one video and I'm gonna try and dissect it and do something with it. Because although he didn't call on the name, you ever listen to something that you can know is really spiritual? Although the Lord might not got them saying the name, regardless of the fact it's still something spiritual. Dude was in a complete spirit. Like, pretty much when you're going through trials and tribulations, it's usually when the Lord upgrading you. That's why a brother had a picture, and I took a picture of it. It had the black Vegeta, or Jake looking Vegeta, and pretty much it's just a picture of him saying power level increased. Because when you go through these different trials and tribulations, they're supposed to build your spirit up for the times to come. But like I said again, without further ado, I'll just bring this out because, fair use, and just show you something. Because like I said, there's multiple temptations and multiple lusts that are lawful. Like these things are lawful, but again, you got to realize what you're giving your time to. And this will make this spiritual. So bear with me. Fair use, fair use, fair use. I'm not profiting enough for this.
When a nigga want to spend time with you and give you like his undivided attention, that's a nigga you need to like.
Now I fuck with the dude Boss Mac, right? And he be coming up with the big words, and like I said, that's why I fuck with him. But he funny too to me. But he would say that she got an extreme amount of pulchritude. Now go look that one up.
Put your leg up on a balcony, you know. Don't care if people looking this broad, they're like it's going down. You know, that's the type.
She got a sexy ass accent.
For him treatment a nigga like that get, you know, like when a nigga give you money, okay, that's cool, like it's fine. I mean, you know, my nigga got me some paper, but when a nigga give you his time, that's another ball game. Like, you know, oh baby, I'm finna miss out on this little hook. You know, you got me caught up. I love to her. You got me caught up, baby. I'm trying to catch you up, sweetheart. I'm trying to put you in London lock and key. You know, yeah. Let me get in the way. You know, I like to get in a nigga.
You heard what she said? I like to get, and that's a spirit. And it's very tempting. That man who wouldn't want to be, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, you get in my way, but it's a good thing in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Come on. You gotta have Jake lose money or miss out on money, fuck that money, miss out with the bros, all that, you know what I mean? And it's very rare or very few brothers that will literally sit up there and say, oh, no, I'll turn that shit down. Like, come on, Solomon fell a victim to it. And he was wiser than everybody ever did, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, Jake be capping sometimes and shit too, trying to put a perceived notion in, you know what I mean? Like I say, again, it'd be funny. Like I say, I sit up there and kept it 100 because, again, I don't feel like lying. But you know what I mean? Jakes I've seen buy pussy. And I ain't gonna put nobody out there, but it's just like, you know, it's funny.
Wait, we be like, you in my way, baby, but you in my way in a good way. Okay, say that. I love it. I love it. Oh, what T-Pain said, damn, I love it. Damn, I love it.
But like the elder said, you know, that was something that the forefather did, you know what I mean? Like Judah, remember? And got caught up in that shit too. Bear with me.
Yo, GD.
Bless that bitch. And what an eloquent and laudable bitch that is there with extreme pulchritude. Like this hoodie I'm rocking. Behold, and what's the moral of the story? That bitch is right though. I concur with that bitch. That's the kind of bitch you want on the team. That bitch could be on the team today right now. That's a bitch that recognizes that a man's time is his most valuable possession. Because
I want to
concur with that bitch. That's the kind of bitch you want on the team. That bitch could be on the team today right now. That's a bitch that recognizes that a man's time is his most valuable possession because you can't get back wasted time. And every minute of a man's time should be spent towards the pursuit of his purpose
and that's what I needed. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you are literally called into this truth, and well, let me rephrase, because you got many called, but few are chosen. If you are chosen of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know, your purpose is bringing out this truth and prophesying, you know, doing the will and the work of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. I'm going to replay that one more time.
On the team today right now. That's a bitch that recognizes that a man's time is his most valuable possession because you can't get back wasted time. And every minute of a man's time should be spent towards the pursuit of his purpose and making a way for himself and his family on this hostile planet. And any bitch.
Now, that's pretty much like, you know, because again, you know, the scriptures talk about we hate our lives unto death, you know, at the end of the day. So, nothing can come before, not our families, not our women, not, you know, none of that, you know, come supposed to come before us serving Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know. So, you know, but what he said was our purpose. And if you really truly are of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, you know how the elder broke it down, one of the Lord's man, you know, how the elder said the prophet is God's man. You know, if you want a God's man, like the X-Men, Xavier's men, if you want to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's men, your purpose is going to, you know, the scriptures talking about your eye being single, you know. So, you know, that's why it's so important to have a rule over your spirit. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 32, and it reads, "He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city." You know, because self-restraint is so important. And I can say this, you know, because again, I would never make it seem like, you know, I'm just so, you know, perfect and everything. We all fall short, you know. That's what, because we in these chains of darkness, you know what I mean? And that's the beautiful thing about the mercy, like this grace period. This is giving you an opportunity to tighten up, to get your shit together. You know, I was listening to brothers going into, you know, these different words of self-control. He was going into like how discipline can be used throughout in so many different walks in, or different avenues in this walk of ours, you know. He was talking about just pretty much like something like fasting, you know. And the brother was speaking on how he was pretty much on a meat fast, because you can fast in many different kind of ways, you know. But a true fast is pretty much, you know, no food, no water. You know who was a demon and do a lot of fasting? And out of his mouth, he said he did 3 weeks. And I could believe it, because I remember when I went through my testimony, the Lord had me fast for amount of time. And I remember I told the brothers, and they literally made it seem like I lied. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, damn. And I got lightweight offended. And then to the point where another Jake was like, well, nobody get offended or whatnot. No, don't offend nobody. You know what I mean? But it was just like, that's funny. And then you got Jake that literally, the Lord cold. The Lord is really, truly cold. But point being though, like, pretty much how, if that demon, Kevin Gates can pretty much fast that much amount of time, you know, because he disciplined or something. I think he a warlock too, you know. He a heavy, like the elders talk about that Islam demon. He got a heavy Islam demon on him, you know. He off into a lot of wickedness, you know. Bear with me.
Get a free Amazon box today. We are giving them away.
But the point being is, you know, I forget, I think it was a particular elder. He was just talking about how he just did a video going into how somebody, I think it was a Jake asked, was just going up to Jake asking him about he's gonna give him $20 if they could just pretty much quote a scripture, not even like say the word.
Download one app.
Say the word for word, but just quote it, and they couldn't even quote a scripture, you know. And he was bringing out, you know, our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, you know. But he was like pretty much how they accustomed, or they knowledgeable about wickedness, you know. But the scriptures tell you knowledge of wickedness is not true wisdom, you know. The scriptures talk about wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. So in that day, you know, what you think is going to give you your hope in a world full of hopelessness? Because you can see it coming. You can see it coming. You know, I was listening.
They're tired of seeing ads all over their phone. Well, have you tried Total?
You can see it coming. Like,
this person said they're
the elder was going to, you know, pretty much being fed by Egypt, you know, but pretty much all these different like cuts that DJ Trump making is pretty much because you was gonna be fed for a time. That's how we know we're close to the end. The end is not 1 Peter chapter 4. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28, and it reads, "He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls." And you know, scriptures talk about Babylon the Great being a city without walls. And a city without walls is easily conquered, you know. It's the book of Galatians. Salaki, I'm trying to drive and keep up. This book of Galatians chapter 5 and verse 13, and it reads, I'm gonna probably read it in NLT. For you have been called to live in freedom, my brothers and sisters, but don't use your freedom to satisfy your sinful nature. Instead, use your freedom to serve one another in love, charity. For the whole law can be summed up in this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. But if you are always biting and devouring one another, watch out. Beware of destroying one another. Verse 16. Living by the Spirit's power. So I say, let the Holy Spirit guide your lives. Then you won't be doing what your sinful nature craves. So I'm going to reread that in the KJV. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Because again, I mentioned about the different lust, because that's that carnal, that carnality, and again, everything the scriptures talk about, everything lawful is not expedient. You know what I mean? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should always do it. And I was just listening to a brother do a video about that. I forgot the name of the title, but he was talking about sometimes you got to be able to recognize the Spirit. Just because sometimes the Lord, I can speak for myself, and I don't know how many brothers the fuck experiences this, but pretty much how do you even supposed to get down there? This is crazy. Salakia, this weird shit going on. Salakia, he was like, just because I can speak for myself how the Lord will tempt me. Well, not the Lord will allow Satan to tempt me. You know what I mean? He'll put me in a situation, you know what I mean? And you like, and I'm sure we all go through it, So that's why sometimes it's better to go without, that's why even if you don't necessarily, I can only speak for myself, but sometimes I may not feel like I need to fast, but I was, like I just recently went through a fast, but like back when I was part of the camp, I would fast like at least like once or twice out the month, because sometimes like how brothers go through the fast of like they might leave meat alone, brothers might stop drinking for a minute, because once your flesh gets used to and accustomed to something, we about to go without a lot of shit. You know what I mean? It says, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are under the law. Salaki, but if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, hearsays, envies, murders, drunkenness, reveling, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have told Salaki, I also told you in the time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. And I can attest to being too much into. Like you've always had a brother that pretty much might have been too much in the wine or the drink, and may have offended. I know I probably may have offended a multitude of brothers at one point in time. We all have, you know what I mean? Well, I can't say we all have. You got certain brothers that don't, like they really worried about offending the brother, so you can't say that, you know what I mean? But again, that's why I was so quick to I was so quick to, like in the group chat, I just be like out the blue, Salaki, if I offended any brother. The brother like, oh, no, you ain't offend me, but you don't know who you may have offended. I was offended sometimes, but it would be like Sir Jake wouldn't even give a fuck. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important to be forgiven. The scriptures talk about, like when they ask you, Yahushua, well, how many times you got to offend your brother? He says 7 times 70. So just do the math on that. It's the book of Colossians. Go, bitch ass nigga. Salakia. See, that was satanic too. They changed the traffic on this all crazy where, you know what I mean? Like literally, they just stopped the street, so they making you go all around. Like that's Satan though, for real. Colossians 3 and 5. Salakia for the rude speech. Colossians 3 and 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanliness, inordinate affection, evil, I can't pronounce that. Concupiscence and covetousness, which is idolatry. So when you go into that word mortify, Salakia, trying to do 13 things. As long as the Lord with you, you're gonna be able to do 35,000 things. Mortified.
Strong's G 3499. Necrao.
You know, and that's deep because, you know, I think you got necromancy. I think the elder put a video about that because they was trying to say that P. Diddy actually was doing that, which that's like pretty much he's a demon for real. He was literally like, you know what kind of dark magic he was doing? Necromancy, you know. It says to make dead, to put to death, slay, worn out of an impotent old man, to deprive of power, to destroy the strength of, you know, which, you know, we all are subjected or subject to being pretty much caught up in our lust. Because we, you know, again, a lot of the lust that we can fall to are actually lawful things that we're allowed to do. But again, like the brother said, if you give access to anything, you can become a liability, you know.
Strong's G 3499. Necrao.
The brother was talking about how, you know, when Satan tempts you, he usually tempts you through something carnal, you know. When you take the time to think about when he came at Yahushua, what did he try to do? Give him things of this world. It says, properly one that has breathed his last lifeless, deceased, departed, one whose soul is in destitute, inactive as respect doing right. Inactive as respects doing right. Destitute of force or power, inactive, inoperative. So, you know, again, when you're walking in the spirit and not lusting after the flesh, that's how you defeat Shaitan or Satan. And Yahushua showed you that when pretty much he came at him when he was vulnerable, you know, after he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, you know, when Satan thought he was at his weakest, where he was at a low point, and how did Yahushua resist him? Through the scriptures. So I'm going to end the scriptures. I'm going to end it with this scripture. It's the book of James, chapter 4 and verse 7, and it reads, submit yourselves therefore to the Most High, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. You know, let's go into this word resist. And that's a fight.
Strong's G 436. Anthistemi.
It says to set oneself against, to withstand, resist, oppose, to set against. You know, Satan to come with the, you know, the scriptures talk about that in 1 John chapter 2. And matter of fact, let me get that. 1 John chapter 2, and talks about the lust of this world. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15, for all that is in this world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. Verse 17, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. So we know that pretty much, especially like say what's 2 Peter chapter 3 talk about, knowing that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons are ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, you know, meaning pretty much how you walk in this truth. So Lord willingly, you know, again, I was listening to brothers' videos. They was doing some edifying lessons on pretty much discipline. And we going to need that more and more. That's going to be a hell of a tool in the days of, you know, Jacob's trouble and the days of, you know, this orchestrated famine, because that's pretty much, they literally trying to put everybody in a low position so you can come begging them for, you know, the cure, you know. But if you walking in the spirit, you're going to be able to resist. So with that, I'm going to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Loyam La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders, to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Afadah that listen and learning, Lord willingly edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Until next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwame Asherallah, Mawak Lababal.